The last script I'm going to talk about is the CameraControl. This is kind of a doozy. There is a lot to it, but it's also a fairly well documented script. I'm going to talk about some public functions that are available at the very end. There is the set flook settings, the set dialog look, and the set standard settings. So what we've got here is for standard settings, it turns dialog mode off and sets everything back to the original and basically resets everything. When it sets the follow target to the Myro controller, that means it just says look at the player again. For dialog settings, by turning the follow target to null, what it does is it turns camera controlling off, and I'll show you in the update function how that works. And it also tells it to go to the camera to jump to a specific position and then look at another position. So usually this will be a nice cinematic position just off to the side of an NPC, and this is going to look at the NPC's face. And that's how you get a dialogue look. And then with flook, it just sets the follow distance and follow height equal to the flook distance and height, which is usually a lot closer to Spyro or Myro than the actual character. So we've got some other utility functions: clearing the follow target, setting the follow target, um, matching the follow target transforms. So these are all utility functions that are used during the actual functionality. So one thing I will talk about is catch mouse here. This uses the cursor control, and what this will do is if you do something where you make the cursor invisible, it will enable it to return back to the original spot. So then it will also make the cursor visible be false, and it locks the cursor. What this means is you can now use your camera control without your cursor going off of your screen or traveling into another monitor. And that's something that's very important for the function of a third-person character controller like Spyro. We have the player Y to camera Y, which basically it says whatever my rotation offset from the mouse is, the character is going to turn and in the same direction to face the direction my camera is facing. So this is a roundabout way to work with like any offset that the camera makes, it turns the player to match it. So this is a mouse rotation functionality. Reading the mouse for the camera controls, what it does is it saves some rotation offsets from your mouse X and Y movement. It sets some parameters and caps you. And then if you go too wild, it's going to catch the mouse, but this won't really be relevant. But these numbers do get saved somewhere else. And this is the meat of it where we position the camera against the player. So what we do is we figure out where we are right now. We rotate based on rotation offsets that, if you remember in player Y to camera Y, we figure out what our rotation offsets are. So it's set and stored here at read mouse, but then we also will rotate the camera based on how that has changed, and then we move it based on how high we want it to be and how far back from the player we want it to be. Then we run a raycast where we save where this is, and what we want to do is shoot a raycast with a bit mask. So this integer, the living entities layer is 8, but we create a mask which 1 to the less than living entities layer is a series of 8 integer digits that can figure out one of 256 potential numbers that allows you to skip specific layers. So we run a raycast functionality and shoot it. And if we hit anything, we will move towards it and get to that point. So what this does is if the camera hits a wall, then it won't go past the wall. So that way you don't have your camera clipping through the wall. The At the start, what we do is we catch the mouse, make it go invisible, and then if we have a follow target, it will match the follow target's transforms. It will not shoot through walls. If it's not in dialogue mode, then what we can do is we can manipulate the camera. Then we position the camera against the player, and then we adjust the player to stay in the same direction that the camera is facing. So that's how these scripts are designed to work. It is a singleton, and it has a bunch of variables that are stored throughout the script. And that is the Myro camera controller.